Hello, welcome to a quick overview on how to install an IDE and get the latest in Java SDK so you're able to actually develop and run and install and create Java applications. So the first thing we're going to do, this is kind of important, is I don't know what level of security information you have or what version of Java you have, so it's usually a good idea to make sure you have the latest. But there's been some security issues with some old installers. So the important thing that you want to do is if you go to java.com, you're going to go ahead and click on the security notice. You're going to go ahead and go with the uninstall tool. You're going to download the uninstall tool. While that's downloading, if you haven't done that, what you'll want to look for is the actual developer part. So you'll click down here on developers and you'll look for JDK downloads. Now there's a variety of different JDKs and there's a couple things you want to take note of when you're doing it. First and foremost, you want to make sure that you get the JDK, and I'd recommend you get the one without NetBeans. Just get the JDK itself. So you want to download the JDK. Now there's a variety of different systems, and depending on your architecture and system, you'll want to pick the one that is relevant for your system. So it's 32-bit system. You'll want to pick x86. If it's a 64-bit system, you'll want to pick the one that's appropriate. For the most part, understand that with the you can run 32 and 64 and vice versa. So if you're not sure, just run the 32-bit version and you should be pretty good. You shouldn't necessarily need the demos and samples. You just should need the actual one. You got to accept the license agreement and then go ahead and hit the executable and let it save that file. So while that's downloading, we're going to go ahead and get the installer. We're going to agree to the terms and conditions. We'll hit next, and what it'll do is it'll uninstall any old versions of Java that you have. And then what you'll want to do is run the latest version. So we're going to go ahead next. We want all of the standard tools. Source code's a good idea, and the JRE is a good idea. Now this is the Java runtime environment. This is what things run with. These are the actual development tools, including the SDK, the software development kit that you need to do what you need. Plus it has a source code, so if you need to dig down and understand how things are working underneath the hood, that information is there as well. Now you're probably wondering why go ahead and uninstall and reinstall. What if I have the same versions or something like that? So the security update is designed to make sure that you're doing a clean install of Java, and it is kind of important that you go through that process to make sure that anything old, any old versions or anything else are off the machine. One of the biggest problems that people don't understand is that you need to keep your machine up to date. The Windows updates are super important. Other things are super important to keep your system as up to date as possible. The more vulnerabilities that come out weekly and monthly, you need to make sure that you're securing your box and keeping all of the software up to date and making sure that things are working as smoothly as possible. This applies to drivers, software that you traditionally run on the box. There's a rare opportunities where you need to run a particular version of the software where it may have a feature or whatever it is, and that makes sense from time to time, but for the most part you want to keep things fairly up to date. It's asking me for a path there. And we're all ready to go. Now that that's done and we're good with there, what we're going to do now is we're going to come over to load the IntelliJ to start our actual projects. So we're going to go to download. We're going to download the community version. That's being funny. It should be the IntelliJ one and not the... Make sure we have the right link here. That must be the right one. Now there's a variety of different IDEs out there that you can use. If you're interested, you can use, for instance, you can use Eclipse. Eclipse is a pretty good one. Depending on where your comfort level is. You can use Visual Studio Code. This is one of the ones that I mentioned. This one works really, really well with a variety of different languages. All of these are different IDEs that you can use to edit your code. And these are called integrated development environments. So it looks like that's downloaded. So we're going to run the IntelliJ. There we go. It was the one. The C just threw me off in the letter there. The C stands for Community Edition, and they had renamed the file, so that's why I have a previous version, so I'm going to go ahead and uninstall. I'm going to go ahead and associate the Java files. You can do or not do that. That's entirely up to you. There's, like I said in class, there's a variety of different IDEs. They have C, PHP, Python, Ruby, some JavaScript IDEs, and a variety of other tools that you can all use. That JetBrains is the company that puts it out. And they put out a pretty good product overall. It also integrates very well with version control, so when you go through the Git stuff that we'll do later on, that will make more sense. We're all done. We'll hit finish. It'll kind of prompt which way you want to go, whether you want a light or dark. It depends on your preferences. I'm just going to skip all those for now. Sorry, it's loading on the other screen. Now this is where it gets a little different from what you may have used in the past. Everything you're going to do is going to be project based. So we're going to create new project. We're going to pick our Java version. If we have one or if we know one, we're going to go ahead and do that. So we're going to go ahead and pick a new JDK. Should try and find one for us. Let's see if it's being stubborn today. It's the 64-bit version that I'm looking at there. That's the latest JDK. There it is, the Java 18101. That's the one I installed. And we're just going to create a Java product. We're going to hit next. We're going to use the command line application. Hit next. And this is where it gets interesting, that we go ahead and name our particular project that we're working on. So for instance, if we were looking on chapter 1, problem 1, you would put like your initials, the section. You can put a dash there if it's easier to read. And then you go ahead and put, if you had a company, otherwise I would put example. We're going to go ahead and hit finish. And what should happen is the IDE should pop up. You'll have some tips here you can read through to learn about the IDE. We'll insert some code here, which we'll get to in a little bit, but for now, I'm going to go ahead and build the project. And we're going to go ahead and run the project. And we really shouldn't see anything. It should just say finish. If you get, whether when you allow it or not, I would say you can go ahead and allow it. I have security settings set, so that's why you see the blank screen there for a second. From here, you'll see the process access code 0. That's basically meaning this code is run, and since it doesn't have anything in it, we're just getting exit code 0. That at least tells you, hey, the compiler is working, the IDE is working, everything should be ready to go at this point in time. And as it says here, you're going to write your code here. You'll put your heading and other stuff as we go in class, and we'll kind of go further over this more so in class. But that should give you a general overview and general kind of guidance through that, and you should hopefully everything should turn out pretty well. If you have questions, comment on the video, or better yet, ask in class so that everybody can get the same questions and we're all good to go. Thanks so much. I hope this was helpful, and we'll see you in class.